Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to Cherokee Business Radio. Stone Payton here with you this morning, and you are in for a real treat. Please join me in welcoming back to the Business RadioX microphone founder and CEO with Eagle Business Credit, Mr. Ian Varley. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stone. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I am doing so well. I shared with you off the air that I'm actually in the throes of moving our family to Cherokee County, to Woodstock.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. And, as soon as some of this COVID craziness and all that's over, we'll get back in the studio and do our thing the old school way. But in the meantime, boy, you've been up to a lot of neat stuff with your work. I'd like to dive into that in just a moment. But before we do, can you give our listeners just a little bit of a primer overview, mission, purpose? What are you and Eagle Business Credit really out there trying to do for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. And I'm glad you're coming to Woodstock. It's going to be fun. You're going to be enjoying it. I lived here for, since 2008. Can't even do the math this morning. It's too early. But a long time, seen a lot of changes. And we have a lot of local clients as well. So love being in Cherokee County. My kids went to Etowah High School in Woodstock. Definitely feel as though we've put down roots here. It's a great place to be. And for business as well. And I know that the Chamber's been really good for us to be a member of the Cherokee Chamber. And again, what we do is help small, medium-sized businesses with their funding, cash flow funding in particular. Style is factoring, and we'll talk about specifically what that is. It gets a bit technical, but ultimately, if you're a small business selling to other small businesses, then maybe give us a call if you're in need of funding, because that's what we do.
Now, small businesses, this is no secret to anybody who listens to this show or any of the Business RadioX network shows for that matter. I mean, even when we're doing well, things are cranking along. Sometimes cash flow can really be a challenge. And I remember getting counsel from one of my early mentors. His name is Steve Brown, who ran the Fortune Group International. And he would say, the secret to having a successful small business is don't run out of cash.
Yeah, basically. I mean, everybody's heard the adage, cash is king, and it is absolutely true. It's the lifeblood of any business. And if your cash is being tied up with outstanding invoices, customers that are taking too long to pay, then that's specifically what we can help you with. We can accelerate the cash that's tied up there by basically paying you for your invoices. So, you can still continue to trade as normal and not have the worry of when's that customer going to pay because I really need the money. And a lot of business owners don't like to chase their customers for payments. They want to give them the credit. They want to give them 30 days, to pay so that they can be competitive and get that sale. But unfortunately, a lot of their customers might take 60 days or more to pay. Or even if they take 30 days, that still can be a lot of cash that's tied up, even if they pay on time. So cash and the lifeblood of your business, strongly related. If you have plenty of money in the bank, fantastic, less of an issue for you. But if you don't, and you're worried about making payroll specifically, especially at the moment, then you've got to be able to free up your cash. It's essential. And, we've seen this year, obviously, a lot of government assistance with the PPP programs, the EIDL programs from the SBA. They've been excellent, and they've helped a lot of companies. But they're not the end of, the end game. Because ultimately you may get forgiveness on a PPP loan, but if you've taken out any other form of finance, that's a loan you've got to repay. So guess what? That's more drain on your cash flow. So factoring's not like that. It's a totally different form of finance, but you're absolutely right. Cash is the lifeblood. I talk about that all the time because people take their eye off the ball on how quickly their receivables are being paid. And before you know it, they've got a pinch. And now maybe they can't take on that new customer, or they can't fulfill that order, or God forbid, they can't pay the payroll on time, or something more disastrous, and it puts them out of business. So, it's a passion of ours that we help people with their cash flow.
All right, so let's play this out a little bit. I'm going to get some real-time counsel. I can tell you for a fact, because not only am I one of our hosts and the number 2 man in our network from an operations standpoint, I'm chief cook and bottle washer, and I don't do the invoicing, but I look at the QuickBooks every day. And I can tell you, we got 25,000 plus in receivables. Ideally, those clients will pay before the end of the year and everything's copacetic. And we've been pretty blessed even this year, and we're going to be fine. But if for whatever reason we were under a little bit of a crunch and we were to start working with you, like what are some of the early steps in the engagement? Do we get on the phone with you and just start talking it through? Just like walk us through the early stages of working with you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. We talk to people all day long, and it's about understanding where they're at, what their needs are, and how we can help. And, even if we're not a fit for whatever reason, we'll still want to talk to you to try and help. And there's nothing in it for us necessarily, but it's about, okay, did we help you? Will you remember us for that reason? And then down the road, you might come back, you might recommend us to somebody else. But yeah, it's getting on the phone. We do take online applications. We do have people that will come on our website and just chat with us. I actually quite love doing that because it's a real quick conversation. So, it's really just if there are general questions, how does it work? What do we do? And what do you need as a business? And so, you mentioned you've got 25,000 in open AR right now. Okay. Well, the way we work typically is we'll understand, okay, who are your customers? What are your terms? And when do you typically get paid? And that way we can figure out, is this going to make sense for you? Because we typically advance at 80% or more. But if you took 25,000, do the math at 80%, that would mean that we could give you an advance of $20,000 on your open AR of 25. So if you needed that cash now, rather than waiting to the end of the year for them to be paid, we'd give you the 20 now and the 5 when the customers pay. And the way it works is not alone. You don't pay us back that 20,000. We receive it from your customers in the normal course of business. So like you said, if they pay at the end of the year, the 25 comes in, we repay the 20, and the 5 goes back to you less our fee, which is called the reserve payment. So what's the fee? Typically, it's going to be 2.25, something like that, for the period that the money is outstanding. So we will come up with a particular proposal for you based on the amount you want to factor, the number of customers that you have, the size of the facility, obviously, and that way we can provide you with an individual quote for your business. And it's supposed to be an ongoing facility. So, we ask customers to sign up for us. If you want to do 6 months, if you want to do 12 months, fantastic. The reason we do that is because there's no upfront cost. We're not going to ask you to pay us money in order to get the facility. There's no hidden fees or anything like that. It's very, very simple. And, people often say to me, hang on a minute, what's the catch? Well, there is no catch. Ultimately, if you like the terms and you want to sign up, we're going to be very flexible with you, because ultimately we see as our responsibility and our role is to take you from point A, where you have the need, to point B, where you don't need us anymore. And along the way, if we've made the difference in your business, we're happy. It's a success story, and we move on, and you hopefully can refer us to other people. That's how it pays dividends for us.
Wow, I like it. Okay, so the invoicing process itself, it's a little different. The invoice that these clients who owe me the 25, are they going to get a different invoice from a different place, or how does that piece work?
Nope, you're going to do exactly what you do. We don't ask you to change anything.
All right.
So you issue your invoices as you would normally. Again, normal terms, normal course of business. You just give us a copy of the invoice. And what we do, and we always recommend you have a word with your customers before we come into the process, is we'll send them what's called a notice of assignment to let them know that we're going to purchase that invoice from you. And that way they are directed to send their payment to us. And that's the one technical thing that sometimes people have a bit of hang up on. Why are you contacting my customers? Well, remember, we're going to do this in a very professional way. We do it all day long. We deal with thousands of customers across a wide range of industries. And for most businesses, it's nothing. We speak to the accounts payable person, and we give them the notice of assignment. They change their remit address, and that's about it. So again, for you, no change. You do what you do. You send us a copy of the invoice. You send your invoice out to your customer. We're going to ask you to put an assignment legend on the invoice as well. So for future invoices, there's a little bit of a reminder on there, send your checks to Eagle Business Credit. And a lot of people also look at it as a way of outsourcing, which I know is kind of less popular these days. But you can really, as a small business, rely on us to manage the receivables for you. And it's not a collection company, but we will follow up with the customer and just say, hey, do you have the invoice? Is it in your system? When are you going to be sending the check? Is it to terms? Is it later? Gathering information on the status of the invoice. And that is then something you don't have to do anymore. And not only that, part of the service, no extra fee. If you're looking at new customers, you can come to us to check credit and see what we can approve on them. So again, if you were to be talking to a new customer and want to know, are they good for the money? Should I start doing business with them? You can ask us and we'll run the reports on them and say, okay, we know these people already and yep, they're fine, or we don't know them. Let's run a report. Let's see where we're at. So again, there are a lot of different things you can use factoring for, not just the money, but also the receivables management and the credit information.
Yeah, and we're talking 2 to 2.25%, and you're fulfilling some of the roles that I'm writing people checks to do right now, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're not looking to replace anybody, So we deal with a lot of companies where they're doing a lot of volume and maybe they have somebody, managing the AR right now. If that's the case, that's fine. Keep that person there and we'll dovetail into what they're doing. So again, you can dial up or dial down the amount that you use us in terms of the receivables management. There's a certain minimum we've got to do to make sure that, the invoices are good and they're coming through, but you can stay in the driving seat as well. So again, full flexibility on that. If you already pay people for that and are happy with them, we're not going to replace them, but we will add to it. So again, it's really designed not only to accelerate that cash flow, but help you grow with confidence, because now you don't have to worry so much. You can add new customers knowing that it's going to be taken care of and the cash flow is there to meet the need. Maybe you now have to hire somebody. A lot of businesses will find that it really gives them the fuel they need to grow, especially at the moment.
Okay, so this example that we've been kind of walking through, is that really too small for you guys? Is there do you really need a bigger business than ours?
It's on the small side, but we do a wide range.
Right.
We have a product called Express, which is for 50,000 or less. So it would fit right nicely in that product.
Okay.
And that's really just a pared down agreement and you can e-sign it. So it's a very simple approval, an application process. In fact, the application and the agreement is all rolled into one with that product. Once you get above 50, there's a few more steps. We go all the way up to 5 million. So you can imagine once you start getting larger, there's a few more things we're going to need, some financials, etc. But on the 50K or less program, there's really very few qualifications. It's more about who are your customers and how much do you have in AR. And that's what we want to see more than anything. Some people, worry, are you going to run my personal credit? Is that going to be an issue, for what I want to do here? No, we're not really interested in your personal credit because, like I said, we're going to get paid by your customer. So we're interested in their credit and how long you've dealt with them. And that's really what we focus on.
Sounds marvelous to me. Now, your services go beyond this invoice factoring. I know that sounds like it's probably the core, but you do things. Yep. I was looking on your website. And I saw export funding. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Of course. Yeah. It's still receivables based. Okay. But in that example, your customer is going to be overseas. So again, a lot of businesses are selling overseas. Maybe they've got a great website as their storefront and they're taking orders from overseas customers. We can still fund those. A lot of factoring companies don't. They don't want to take that additional risk. We marry it up with credit insurance. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that that's going to be paid from that customer in France or wherever. And so the credit insurance side of it will really help both of us with the protection against any unpaid invoices there. So yeah, fully open for overseas account debtors. We also do purchase order finance. Now, that's a slightly different variation on the theme of the receivables here, because there, if you're an existing client of ours, so you're currently using our services on the receivables side, maybe you've received a larger than normal order from one of your customers. Things are going well, they want to place a bigger order, but that's going to cause another pinch on your cash flow. You've already got that taken care of for the normal course of business, the general ebbs and flows of your sales. But this order's blowing it out of the park. So what we can do is come in and say, okay, let's have a look at the order. And in the case where you're buying in goods, so maybe finished goods from a contract manufacturer, what we can do is give you the cash to go pay that manufacturer to get the goods made. And that way the goods, you can fulfill the order and get the cash over and above what's available to you on your open AR. And then when it turns into a receivable, when the product's been delivered, we pay off the advance for the purchase order and run with it on the receivable side as normal. So PO financing's great. It's there to help you fulfill larger orders, but also maybe expand into new markets as well. Some people use it for that. So it's a great add-on to receivables finance where you need that additional money on top.
So many of our listeners are in some fashion or another involved in the local startup ecosystem here in the greater metro Atlanta area. In fact, Business RadioX Network, we actually do the ATDC radio, but we do a lot of stuff with startups. Is there any applications? Is it just too early as a startup, or is there some way for a startup to take advantage of your services?
That's a great question. Again, we can approve startup companies. A lot of banks and other finance companies don't. They want to see a track record for maybe 6 or 12 months. We don't need that. Ultimately, you've got to have a receivable for us to be able to fund you. So if you're brand new and you haven't made a sale yet, then we can't provide you any money until you've made that first sale. So you're going to have to be in that startup mode and got that initial capital to get you going. And once you're going in terms of making sales, that's when we kick in. So it's extremely early in the process. And again, there's no qualification. If you're brand new, if you're a startup, that's okay. We want to know, what are you doing? What are you selling? Is it a product? Is it a service? Who are you selling to? What are the terms that you're selling on? Those are the main things that we're looking for. Now, if you are brand new, obviously we're going to say, well, what were you doing before? Let us understand you as the business owner. What got you into this new business that you're starting up? We love to hear the stories, that gets people going and starting off in new directions, that kind of thing, just to help us understand their background and where their passion is and where they're going with it. So, that's all part of the conversation in terms of the initial call that we have with people. And it's the most enjoyable part of my job. I love hearing about what makes people get into their businesses and what challenges are they facing. But yeah, to your point, startup businesses are welcome. And what we want to do is help you on that growth path because, it's a horrendous statistic how many businesses fail within the first 3 years, usually because they run out of cash. Because guess what? They're doing something right. They're growing, but there's so many people that won't support them in that early phase because they're worried about the fact that they're going to fail. For us, we just worry about your customers and the sales. You can give all that to us. We'll give you the cash back and save you from waiting to get paid. So you can still make sales on credit. Again, a lot of companies, when they're starting up, they don't have the cash flow in order to grant credit to their customers. So sometimes they're going to lose a sale because that customer wants the credit in order to buy the product or take the service from you. They're expecting you to give them credit. Now, if you can get cash on delivery or a deposit, fantastic. You don't need factoring because you're getting the money. But a lot of people can't do that for various reasons, and that's where we kick in.
Okay, so is this an all or nothing thing, or can I be selective in what I want to factor?
You can be absolutely selective by customer. Okay. So again, if you've got several different accounts, once you choose an account that you want to fund, we want to see all the invoices for that customer because it makes it simpler for everybody to understand. Again, when we send that notice of assignment to the customer, they're going to be told, send your checks to Eagle Business Credit. So all the invoices have got to be funded through us. You can, though, keep certain other customers out of the facility. We don't require you to factor everything. And, for example, you might have a customer that pays you on 7 days. No need to factor because you're already getting the cash quite quickly. You can still factor if you want, but it's not going to be for very long. It's going to be a quick turn. So, yeah, there's flexibility on which customers you want to fund. And there's also flexibility in how long you want to do this. Like I said, we like people to sign up for 3, 6, 12 months, but you can go month to month with us as well if you want. One of the products we have is specifically for truckers, transportation companies, and everything we do there is month to month. And, it makes it extremely easy for them, especially, if they go into winter and want to lay up for a couple of months, don't want to be on the road right now. There's no obligation to carry on doing anything with us. You can pick it up and put it down. So again, we try and make it as flexible as we possibly can. Really, it comes down to what's your business about? What do you need? and how can we dovetail this to make sure that it fits in exactly how you want and answers that cash flow issue that you're currently having.
I got to tell you, Ian, when my business partner Lee, whom you've met when you came in the studio a while back, he's gonna roll his eyes again. I remember him doing it the first time we talked when he hears this conversation, and I'll tell you why. As you know, and many of our listeners know, we're a 15-year overnight success story. If the bread and butter, we have people pay us like $2,500 a month, or we have one client pays like $850 a month. Just bread and butter. But then every once in a while, we get $125,000, $150,000, $175,000 deal, and there's stuff we got to do to deliver on that, and we're dipping into our reserves because to have these kinds of services at $2.25,
right?
I mean, it just would have been a slam dunk, because you talk about a dice roll, and you talk about me and Lee going home and trying to explain to our wives that it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
Right?
You're absolutely right. And again, we take those worries away. That's what we want to be able to do. Cash flow is a worry. And with us, you don't have to worry about it so much, because we're here. We've got your back. We're a very in-tune commercial company. We're not like a banker where you might phone up and they really don't understand who you are and they want to look at your bank balance sheet before they'll have a conversation. We want to know about your business. We want to know how we can help that and deliver the funding for that. So it's really to help entrepreneurs go out there and grow their companies, especially at the moment. I mean, a lot of people are hurting, as you know, and we're finding that the banks themselves are tightening up. So even those companies that maybe have or thought they had a great financing solution are finding, actually, this is going to be more flexible for me, because maybe, I've got some covenants in my bank facility that, because of the issues right now in getting paid, I'm looking at perhaps breaching. What am I going to do? Well, factoring can be a great solution. And again, it can be that bridge to get you from point A, where you have the need, no matter what that need is. Maybe you've got an IRS bill that you've got to meet. Could be anything, right? And you just got to get the cash flowing better for your business. And it helps so many people in so many different ways. And again, I've helped so many companies over the years that it's a shame not many people know about it. It's massive in the UK where I'm from, but here in the States, it tends to be around certain industry sectors. So if you're a trucker, you've heard of factoring. If you're in staffing, you're a staffing company, you've probably heard of factoring. Apparel, maybe, but just general business, maybe not. You may not have heard of it. And it is amazing how, it can make such a difference.
Well, it seems to me like it would be incredibly rewarding work. What is your backstory, man? How did you get into this?
By accident, I guess, like most people do sometimes. I was in the UK and I'd been working for a bank. I took some time out when I was in my early 20s, did some traveling, went all around the world and came back with a very large credit card bill, and needed a job. Went to an agency. They said, "Can you phone people for money?" And I said, "Never done it before, but why not?" And so I fell into it. And there was a company where I lived in my hometown. Never heard of them. Didn't know what they did. And it went from there. I stayed with that company for 9 years. It was part of a larger bank. Then I moved to another company that was growing internationally, and I was able to set up a business unit for them in the UK. Then they bought a company here in the States. I came over as part of a project team with a few others, and ultimately ended up staying. So I've been here since 2004. And that was a great company. Stayed with them 15 years, but ultimately it got very large. And, I thrive in being really in touch with my clients, and the big corporate political scene is not my bag. And so I was fortunate enough 7 years ago to meet some great investors who were happy to back me and said, go ahead, set this up, do what you do. And so, I lived in Woodstock at the time, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to commute anywhere. We're going to set it up right here. And we've built it, in the last 7 years, we're 12, 13 people, 270 clients, servicing both local community, but also nationwide. We've got clients in 38 different states. So it's quite phenomenal. And it's a lot of fun. I love it. Every day, again, speaking to different businesses, solving new challenges, And it can be hard for people. It's tough. And what factoring does, and where I really thrive and enjoy it, is getting them out of whatever situation they've got into and making it better. And if we can't help, we're not going to be that company that drags out a slow no. Can't stand that. We're going to be very upfront. We're going to say, okay, we can't help you, and here's why. Now, here's 2 or 3 people that do exactly what you need, and we'll make a referral. Nothing in it for us, but we want to get you the solution that you need. Most of the time we can help. But, if I have somebody call me and says, well, I haven't got any receivables, this is what I do. I fund receivables, so I can't help that company. But, okay, what do you need? And we'll find out maybe it's equipment finance, maybe it's, any kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We deal with so many different companies that we can give names to people to say, here, try these people. And it's just part of what we do. And ultimately, I believe in karma. It pays dividends down the road. That person maybe gets the solution they need. They're going to remember they called us, right? And if they're then talking to somebody in the bar in Woodstock and maybe they got a different sort of company, maybe you should speak to that guy. He helped me. So, that's what we look for.
Yeah. So how does the whole sales and marketing thing work for a company like yours? How do you get new clients?
Yeah, it's hard, it's spreading the message. We're fortunate that we have some good referral partners, whether they're finance brokers that are out there talking to companies all the time like we do. It could be a banker, it could be a CPA, it could be a chamber member, it could be anything. We do a lot of direct outreach as well. So whether it's mail shotting, whether it's sending emails to people, we'll try all sorts of things. So we get some direct. A lot of it's word of mouth, where, clients are happy and we, politely ask them without bombarding them, hey, if you know somebody and you're happy with what our service has done for you, please talk about us to them. And we pay referrals fees to our clients and to anybody that wants to bring us a deal, ultimately. So that's how we get our business. It's a combination. We do have a sales team, and they're on the phone talking to people as well, and that really helps, again, solve those problems for people. But it's a job, just like it is for any business. We're the same. Okay, so we have to bring in new clients and help those clients, and we have clients that leave us that outgrow us, perhaps, or do graduate into that bank facility and don't need us anymore. So it's a constant change. And again, with that flexibility that we offer, it is somewhat easy come, easy go for people, which is good, but it means we've got to constantly replace them. So for me, having the opportunity to talk to you today is another way that I can hopefully get some business.
Well, I hope it works out that way. Before we wrap, let's try to leave our listeners with a handful of tips, maybe just to help them get prepared to have a conversation with someone like you, or maybe some tips in looking at their operation and decide if they maybe are a good candidate for factoring. Yeah, if you don't mind, let's leave them with a few tips.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really boils down to this. If you're in business selling to other businesses and issuing credit terms for your invoices, then you are probably a fit for our service. So if you own a coffee shop and your customer is the public coming in, it's not going to work for you. You don't have commercial receivables. So you have to sell on a B2B basis and have some open AR. If you're also looking for purchase order finance, so you've got a big order that you're trying to fulfill, and again, it's a commercial sale, that's another way we can help, as we talked about. And if you're a trucker, we definitely want to hear from you. We've got a great program through our Cashway Funding division that's existing just to help truckers. So lots of different ways, but again, there's got to have a commercial receivable. You don't have to prepare anything for me. We do have an application you can pull off online at our website, eaglebusinesscredit.com, but you don't have to fill that out and send that in. If you want to have a general chat, you can do that on our website. Like I mentioned, we've got a chat widget that you can jump on. We have people that are on that all the time asking specific, simple questions. More than happy to do that. But otherwise, give us a call. Our main number is 855-420-8318, and you'll reach any one of the team here, and they're all empowered to talk to people to answer whatever question it is. And if you want to have a deep, meaningful conversation, how's this going to work, and you have concerns, give me a call. You can call me directly, 678-905-1596. and I'm the CEO. I talk to people all day long. It's what I do. And it's how we relate to them and how we're able to take care of them.
Well, it certainly comes through in this conversation, your passion, your genuine desire to serve. One more time, let's leave them with those points of connection, phone number, website, that kind of thing.
Thank you. Yeah. The main number, 855-420-8318. My direct is 678-905-1596. And we're off 92 in Woodstock. And the website is eaglebusinesscredit.com.
Well, Ian, it has been an absolute delight having you on the show this morning. Thanks so much for sharing your story and informing our listeners. This has been a marvelous conversation.
My pleasure, Stone. It's always good to chat, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right. Until next time, this is Stone Payton for our guest today, founder and CEO with Eagle Business Credit, Mr. Ian Varley, and everyone here at the Business RadioX family, saying we'll see you next time on Cherokee Business Radio.